It was all very sad.
It is very sad. Can you imagine lying there and just wondering if you're going to get shot from above?
Nothing you can do. They were literally sitting targets, weren't they?
Oh, doesn't bear thinking about. But we do need to think about it. Right, now the government is investing more than £1.5 billion to improve UK Armed Forces accommodation to help renew the contract that we have with those who serve.
It's a bid to improve the lives of thousands of British military personnel and their families.
Well, the Defence Secretary, John Healey, spoke on why this is so important.
We've got to serve them better, we owe them better, and we especially owe them and their families better homes. For too long, our forces have made extraordinary sacrifices to serve this country, and yet we've forced their families to live in substandard accommodation. That ends.
Well, we're joined now by the Afghanistan veteran, Trevor Coult. A very good morning, Trevor. I mean, it's an understatement to say that the accommodation is poor. It's absolutely appalling in some cases, isn't it?
First of all, Anne, Stephen, thank you for having me on your wonderful show. Yes, I've looked at this. Now, yesterday, your wonderful producer sent me a bit of an update of what this entailed. I have looked into it. I have got a lot of people that I ask questions to and make sure I get it right. 1.5 billion, though. Now, 1.5 billion is great. It sounds like a wonderful sum of money, but the government back in 2023 also invested 1.5 billion into this type of scenario. Now, if we break it down, 1.5 billion, you got to remember that the UK has 145 military sites. So what you're really saying is it's 10 million per site. Now, if you look at the fact that a lot of those sites say there's 200 family homes, and you break that down for £10 million per 200 family homes, it's not very much investment. Now, it's wonderful. I think John Healey, he's going in the right direction, but it's just a sticky plaster over a massive wound. Now, when I look at the investment into this, I find it shameful because many years ago, I got in touch with the then veterans guy, Tobias Elwood, and I asked him if it was possible that we could basically utilise an old military camp to house homeless veterans, and there was none available because the government has sold off every single disused or misused military camp to investors that sit back and wait. Now, a lot of those camps were utilised during the pandemic, and the government doesn't have the funds to invest in empty military bases to help veterans or to help military, but it seems to have a bottomless check when it comes to housing people coming across Dover. So when you look at the fact that the government so far are spending tens of millions of pounds each week and each year in updating empty bases to house economic migrants, but they haven't got the money for military families. Now, I was once living in a military accommodation. And the problem you have here is the government goes for the contractor that comes in with the lowest bid. So you're not getting the top quality invested in military camps because it's always the lowest person comes in and gets that contract. Now, for many, many a time, believe it or not, Han, see when something's above head height and you have to reach up, it becomes a health and safety issue, which means that many, many times in military camps, we were told, if the light bulb needs change, you're not allowed to do it. It's above head height. It's a health and safety. So a contractor comes in and gets paid over £50. He gets a call-out fee, and he gets £50 to change your light bulb. So 1.5 billion over 145 bases, over 200 homes per base. It's very, very little, but it sounds amazing. So let's keep going in that direction.
Yeah. I mean, look, get your point. Of course, not everything needs updating. I mean, there is a lot of new accommodation on a lot of sites. I mean, I think of places like Bulford where some of the accommodation is pretty good on camp. But as you say, there are questions within how those properties are managed and the waste of money. And as you say, things like changing a light bulb. I mean, it's absolutely crackers.
Yeah. As I said, it's great that we're going in the right direction. It's fantastic. But this sounds crazy saying this, but I don't think there should be a budget placed on looking after the men and women that serve our country. I think they should just go around camp after camp. Now, this 1.5 billion, by the way, Stephen, is a 25-year plan in modernisation. So in 25 years' time, or should I say in 10 years' time, it's going to be updated again. So it's going to be again out of date. So let's not put budgets on the people that keep us safe. Let's have the same budget sort of scenario as we do for economic migrants. The government will find money. Let's just fix the camps the people that are on the front line, let's just make sure that when they come back from battle, they can sit down in a house where it doesn't have damp. I mean, the door locks properly. I mean, there's no greener algae around the taps. Let's just make sure that those accommodations are looked after, and let's just keep this going. We don't need to put a budget on that, because budgets mean lowest quality, the first contractor, and if you've lived in accommodation there, it's not great. But you know what? It's a bit like, as you said, the guys come back from Dunkirk. Military personnel will always find a way to make something that looks and is like a gutter, and they'll shine it, and they'll make it look clean, and they'll make it work. But a lot of the time, the men and women are away abroad, and it's the spouses that are having to deal with this nonsense. And they never complain to their husbands and wives, because they just get up. Their husbands and wives have enough issues going to war and coming back. They don't want to hear about the fact there's damp, or the baby's now got a cold because we've got blue mold. So we just need to keep on top of it, Stephen, and make sure that we are looked after 24/7.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Absolutely,
look,
quite
I mean, you're talking common sense, Trevor, which means very few people will listen in power, because that's often the way, isn't it? Really good to see you, though. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, one of our viewers has been in touch saying the military homes at a barracks near to me were refurbished just recently. They'd been rotten for years. Why the recent refurbishment? They're going to house refugees. Unbelievable.
I mean, that's where it stings, doesn't it? There are places in Kensington where, I mean, there are literally rats running up and down inside the walls that they could... I mean, it's horrific. It's absolutely horrific.
You see, you wouldn't be able to house immigrants or asylum seekers in those sort of conditions, because the human rights lawyers would be after you. They would say they're not fit for purpose. But you put